See, when you invest in something and you hustle and you work for something, you got a different type of attachment to it. You're going to have a cold day of hell for somebody to try to take this from you. We live by this, we die by this. We don't surrender, we don't retreat. Every man must search his own soul. I listen to that quote every morning.
Mr. 180's in the building. Let's go. We go live in 3, 2, 1.
Yo, what's up, everybody? It's your boy, Mr. 180. Y'all already know what time it is. It's Thursday, 7 p.m. So you know it's the 180 show. We are here live. So we need you to turn on those post notifications. Hit that share button. Hit that like button. Let people know that you are tuned in to the 180 show. Listen, I got some special guests with me, but y'all already know y'all got to share. Get up in here. Call your mama, call your daddy, call your uncle. Let them know the 180 show is live. YouTube, Facebook. Pretty soon going to have his own Roku channel. Oh, did I just drop that? I think I did. Listen, y'all better pay attention. Pay attention about these jewels I'm throwing out. You feel where I'm coming from? Listen, if you haven't gotten your copy of the 180 Life Enterprise magazine, you are asleep, because you already know we had Apostle Felicia Huff on the front cover, and you already know from the interview, the iconic group After 7 was with us. Both of those people were with us. They were with us, and we had a good time. So definitely go over to 180life.com. Get your copy today. You know we've talked with Jay Holiday. We be vibing with Ange. We be up in the Voice of the Village. Y'all already know what time it is. So y'all know what time it is. So going over to 180life.com. But it ain't even about that right now. I'm going to go ahead and bring in my special guest. What's going on?
What's up, Archie? Thank you so much for having me on. This is extremely exciting. I'm very proud and very happy to be on your show. Thank you.
Listen, thank you so much for coming. Let people know your name, where you from, what you got going on. Because I don't want to mess with the name. Y'all know I be messing with the name. I don't want no problem. My hands is up today, all right?
Hey, I appreciate that, because I've been called a number of things, including Satan, and I don't know where that came from, because I'm a pretty nice person. But my name is Sana Wynd, and I am the host of Co-Science and Tangents, and also I'm the co-author of a book series called The Adventures of Ada, where we like to teach kids and parents alike about the wonderful continent of Africa, one country at a time. I'm originally from Memphis, Tennessee. What's up, North Memphis?
Hey.
And I currently reside in Georgia right now. So I'm just all over here, and I'm just so happy to be here.
Hey, listen. So we gonna jump right into it. Being an author, we gotta start with the author. We gotta let people know Black authors rock. You feel where I'm coming from?
Yes, we matter, honey. We are out here. We matter.
Yeah. So being an author, a co-author, and all that in between, tell us about the journey. How did you get to that point?
Well, I like to tell the story because we thought it was going to be easy, and it wasn't. not to tell the end of the story, but me and my friend, her name is Ogechi, and she is Nigerian American, and we went to college together. And she calls me up one day. She's like, "Girl, what can we do to get away from the perils and the trials of capitalistic greed?" And I was like, "Girl, I don't know. Let's go on the internet." And so we looked at a couple of things, but we both realized that we wanted to be authors. I wanted to do an activity book. She wanted to do a storybook. And so with those powers, we combined and made a story activity book. But then when people told us that we needed a little bit more character development, we decided to divide it into 2 books, where we have a story for our older kiddos, and then we have the activity book for our younger kids. So it's like 3rd grade to pre-K to 3rd grade. And so like the pre-K to like maybe 1st or 2nd would be the activity book. And then the 3rd grade, the older kids can actually take in a lot more of the words, because it's a little bit more wordy. But that came about. It became a labor of love, because we thought it was going to be easy, because TikTok told us it would be easy, and Facebook and Instagram. But then we realized it ended up taking us about 6 months 6 to
Wow.
7 months to get the first one out. We learned a lot from that process, but then the second book we learned even more. So we're hoping to make our way through all 54 countries in
Wow.
Africa. But the biggest thing I could tell self-published authors out there is just to don't quit, learn all you can, and
Yeah.
just, it's not easy, but once you do it, you're going to be like, I am a published author. Like, come
Right.
on. And a lot of us gets caught up on like, oh, we need to get with these big publishing houses and
Yeah.
things like this. But there is an independent way to do it. And you
Wow.
have to be very hustle minded and be about that life and just go
Yeah.
for it.
See, you done said my words, so you already know we about to go there. Well,
Let's go.
like people don't understand being an entrepreneur. I'm an author, photographer, red
Mhm.
carpet, got the show, a producer, got different things going on. But it's the hustle.
It's
And
the
I tell
hustle.
people that the hustle and the bustle never stops. And people get mad at
Exactly.
me because they're like, man, you're always working, always working. You could be taking a trip and you're working. And I'm learning balance. I am. It's hard for me to learn balance, but I'm learning balance. But talk about the hustle behind everything that you do because you have a podcast yourself.
Yes, yes. I've been in the podcast game for about 2 years, I think. I think I started in 2021. And at first, I kind of downplayed it. Like, I just want this to be a hobby so I can get my ideas out there because I was too afraid to really like embrace it and embrace the fact that I wanted to be successful. And then, like, once I started putting it out, and then I like got people like, oh, this is good. You're funny. You got some great thoughts. I feel what you're saying. I realized I had to stop playing myself and just like, I want this to be successful. I had to start like putting effort behind the things that I wanted to do. And so
Wow.
I started reaching out to my friends, like, cause they were in professions that I like professions, but also I just wanted to talk to them more.
Yeah.
And there was also people like we've been in circles for years, group chats for years, but we've never actually sat down and had a one-on-one conversation. And
Wow.
so talking about mental health and talking about just being Blackness and just whatever, just to like have their stories told
Wow.
became just a passion of mine. And
Wow.
then I think I told you when we talked on mine is that
Yeah.
I talked to my brother and older Black guy, and I was like, I knew his mental health wasn't great. And he told me one day, I was just talking to him about how I feel that I think that men have a harder struggle than we even know, just
Yeah.
because society has told them to be quiet for centuries, for
Yes, ma'am.
millennia, whatever. And I told him that. He said, wow, you get it. And
Yeah.
so that struck in my heart to like start talking to men, because I feel like men and women, especially us, because there's this big old, like, I don't want to say war, but it's just this big old fire and brimstone
Wow.
issues with Black men and women. And I feel like
Yes,
we
ma'am.
need to just talk to each other, like just
Wow.
dialogue and hear
Yes,
each
ma'am.
other instead of being waiting to be heard, but just actually hear each
Yes, ma'am.
other's pain and love on each other and know that we're not alone. It's just that society has built us
Right.
to believe that we are supposed to pit against each other. And I think that's
Wow.
one of the biggest things that's hurting us as a community. Sorry, not to go on
Wow.
the tangent, but that's the name of my
No.
podcast. But
No,
I'm
I'm
very
getting
passionate about decolonization and all the stuff that's meant to break us apart while we like really seeing the real person behind it. So I'm just like,
wow. No, 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 no. That's what we here for is to talk
yeah,
about it, bring it to the forefront. Let's talk about it. You know what I'm saying? You said
yes,
something very, very key to me is about mental health. You know,
yes,
I speak about it very openly,
yeah.
going through some of the mental challenges that I went through with mental health. If you could give anybody something if they're dealing with depression or something like that, what would as a Black man, a lot of times we do feel like nobody's gonna understand or nobody's gonna listen. It might not be
Mhm.
the fact that you don't understand, it's the fact of people don't listen. Or
Yeah,
if they do listen, they're gonna say, oh, you're a man, you'll be all right. Oh, get over it.
exactly.
So
Hmm.
what would you be able to say to a man that is dealing with mental health?
Whew. I feel like I would tell, because I think of it like my brother. I know that if he can't afford therapy, he could definitely talk to me. But if he doesn't feel safe talking to me yet, I would like, let's try maybe getting a book. Like there are some books out there, not enough. There needs to be more. But maybe writing down his feelings. And he actually wrote some really great poetry. I was like, boy, you got some talent over here.
Oh, wow.
But writing down, at least writing his thoughts down, because someone needs to hear that, even if it's himself. Wow. And also like love on your inner child. It is weird. Like I feel like a lot of men, because again, it's not like a lot of therapy and a lot of like mental health stuff is not geared towards a masculine centered type of energy, I guess, if you want to use those terms, which are not my favorite terms, but we'll get into that later. But like maybe find some literature that they feel safe doing with themselves, or maybe finding, because there's so many things out there now. There's like talk groups for men, or maybe doing some writing prompts, looking on Pinterest, because I feel like what men think is happening is if they even search it, everybody knows. So I was like, nobody knows, boo. You are safe. Nobody knows what you're doing unless you tell them. So maybe finding like a free mental health group, looking at a lot of, because I sent my brother this little thing where it's just like, it's called self-care. It's called Finch, but I'm not going to give it out because they ain't sponsoring nothing. But it's like a gamified, right? It's like a gamified. It's like a gamified thing for self-care. Like, make sure you're drinking water. Have you read something today? How are you feeling? Just something to remind them that you are human and that you can have emotions. And regardless of you being a man, man is a person. People have feelings. So that's what I would say.
I like that. Man is a person, but people have feelings.
Yes, you are a man of people. People have feelings, honey. So like why
do you feel like us as a people, I'm going to use that, us as a people tend to tear each other down so hard? Like, where do you think that comes from?
Okay, so I root everything back. Okay, let me give you a little background on me. I have a background in anthropology and psychology. And so I like to look at the culture of us as a people. And so I do believe everything really roots from slavery, because when our ancestors were as enslaved people, our only nature was enslavement, and enslavement was not a positive thing. They did not uplift us as people. They uplifted us as property. They didn't even do that. And so when we were freed in I never remember the dates. We just celebrated Juneteenth. Forgive me. But when we were enslaved, thank you. So I appreciate you, boo. So when we were enslaved, we were free. But where did we learn our habits from? We learned our habits from when our families were enslaved, and that's only 160 years. So we're only talking about like 2 great-grandparents ago, So and so there's not a lot of deviation from that cycle of trauma that we've had. So like, you were taught that you were nothing. So you taught your children you were nothing. Wow. Not intentionally, but because you weren't taught anything better. So, and then like, I feel like even with us as a culture, like even when we rag on each other, that's to me like a slave mentality, honestly. Wow. Because like we're taught to like dig, we're gonna jig, I'm gonna fly, I'm gonna roast you. But I'm like, eventually that has to stop. I don't do well under constant scrutiny. No one really does. We might laugh at it because, hey, as a Black person, we are hilarious, honey. We make our trauma, we make our pain, our trauma. If we process it, we laugh and we keep on going because that's all we could do. Right. We weren't allowed to process. We weren't allowed to cry. We weren't allowed to say, no, stop. But to me, now that we have bodily autonomy, we should also have mental autonomy too. Like, hey, you don't have to talk shit about me all the time. I'm sorry. Can I curse? My bad.
No, go ahead. Do your thing.
Okay. You don't have to talk mess about me all the time. Like we can actually sit down and have a real conversation. How are you really feeling? What's in your spirit today? Like, are you really hurting? Because like, I think a lot of times what we had in our lives is just pain, and we laugh about it because that's the only thing that is really acceptable for us as a culture.
Right,
We either
right,
gonna sing about it, laugh about it, play about it, or jig about it. So, but actually expressing our pain is so. Even when you see people doing it, like, "Oh, you a punk? Why are you doing that?" No,
wow,
that's
yeah,
not. We have to stop beating each other down for really expressing how we feel. And I
true.
think that's really just rooted from just slavery. So I think we're coming out of it slowly, but there's this mindset that we keep holding on to, like white supremacy and the patriarchy, which was never for us as a people.
Right,
And
right,
that's what we really have to let go. Like, it's okay. It's okay. We have our own culture, and
right,
our culture can be about love and grace and like upliftment. It don't have to
right.
be about digging us into a deep ditch of despair.
And who's better? And no, because the mindset goes to who's better than who. I can do this better than
Yes.
you, and it's just like my hair
Mm-hmm.
longer than yours. This is it, and it's like, bro, like why can't we just all get along? And believe it or not,
Yes.
I believe if we got along more and did better together, we could make it
Mm-hmm.
further quicker.
Yes. Because when you think about it, like no other culture, well, there are other cultures that divide themselves, but like when you think of it with whiteness, they don't divide themselves on the light white. No, they don't divide. If you're white, you're white. But
Yeah,
we as a black culture, we're so stuck in these like divisive ways,
you're light skin,
like
I'm dark.
light skin, dark skin, fat, skinny. But when it comes down to it, what white people did when they were coming to it, at first they were like, no Jewish, no Polish, no Irish. But then they were like, oh, they're all white. So let's go ahead and bring them all together so our numbers would be bigger.
Hmm.
And then they brought in the Asians because they were like, oh, we don't want the blacks getting the ally in the Asians because that's
Right.
going to be too powerful. So let's bring in a lot of divisiveness in between that culture because back in the like 60s we rolled tough with the Asians because it was
Hmm.
because of the 14th Amendment, because we helped them become, when we got our rights to vote, the 14th Amendment propelled them into getting their rights. So we
Yeah.
rolled tough. And so they saw this like, nah, let's create this whole model, my American myth and minority myth. But then at that time, it's like, do I want to be with the difficult side or do I want to
Right.
go ahead and ride with the easy? And I get it. Easy is easy.
Wow.
You know, if you can go ahead
Yeah.
and get a step up, you're going to do it. But now in 2023, we should see that the mechanisms of divisiveness is, I don't dislike white people. Please don't get me wrong. I dislike white supremacy. So the mechanism that really is that we should be yelling at and fighting is white supremacy and not each other. And
Wow.
so that's why I'm really like want people to fight, because like minorities, we hold up white supremacy more than whiteness does right now, like the
Wow.
ideals of it. And that has to drop, especially with some black men and white women. They hold that up really high. And
Wow.
then they get mad at black women because we have no other choice because we're not male and we're not white. So we also we have to walk into our own lane. And so we get a lot of ish for that. And so, but we not saying that black women don't hold up white supremacy too. We do.
Yeah.
But we have to recognize what we're doing and stop it and just pull up our own mechanisms and realize
Yeah.
that our blackness and our culture and where we from Africa, is a wonderful place and a wonderful culture to uphold. We don't have to keep grasping at other cultures. Be like,
Yeah.
oh no, we were here first. No, like Africa was here first. Like let's grab onto that. Let's
Right.
grab onto what we are now and just like and stop trying to hold on to white supremacy as a totem pole, because they keep moving the
Wow.
goalposts
Right.
that we are never going to catch it. You know what I'm saying?
Right. 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 Oh wow. See, and that's the thing is really loving. Basically, I feel like a lot of it comes down to loving who you are and really doing
Yes.
the history behind it of, hey, what is it? What's the real? Because what they teach in
Yeah.
school these days is, I remember when I was in school and it was Christopher Columbus. Christopher Columbus. Christopher Columbus did this. Christopher Columbus did that. And then now,
Yes.
you talk to your kids and it's like, oh no, we don't talk about Christopher Columbus. No. And it's like, wait, you've been teaching this for all these years, and now you just come up like, oh yeah, that was a lie. It's okay.
It's like so much of it was a lie. Like I didn't know that Christopher Columbus was this much of a horrible person, to be honest, until I got to college. I was like,
Right.
that is not the story they told us.
Yeah.
They
Definitely
said that
not.
man was cool.
Yeah.
No, he was a horrible, horrible person. He
Wow.
died penniless, and he ended up being like the scourge of Spain. And then they like kicked him out because of all the atrocities he did. And I was just
Right.
like, yeah, they didn't tell us that. They didn't tell us any of that.
And that's the thing is as parents, we have to come and teach our kids the right way, you know. And
Yeah.
that's one thing I definitely want to get your opinion on. Parents really have to stop being their kids' friend and really be the parent and really go and research what, because the school would teach them A, B, C, and D, but the school ain't
Mm-hmm.
gonna teach them the real life of, as a black family, as a black man, as a black woman, of what they really gonna get out here in the world. Does that make sense?
Right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. It completely makes sense because with me, I feel like because of history was written by the victors, because that's what they say. History is written by the victors, and it's revisionist history. We only get the history that propels.
Yeah.
I hate keep repeating myself. It's like a broken record. White supremacy, okay, that propels those ideals of like this grand old like we did it for a righteous reason, but no, not in
Yeah.
actuality. So I agree that because I know in my household when I was growing up, my dad and my mom, we would sit down. Of course, we'll do our recommended homework, but we would sit down and read the newspaper, or he will educate us
Yeah.
on things that he read and what he knew was back in the day, because he was born in 1941, and
Oh.
so he picked cotton. So I was like,
Yeah.
all right, so you're telling me the truth, Pops.
Right.
So he would educate us on what he knew as a black man growing up. And he was like, well, that's wrong. You need to look at this. And he would want us to read. We would sit down and actually he'll make us read out loud, which I hate it. I hate reading out loud.
I
But
remember
he
them
would sit
days.
down. Yes,
I
I
remember
hate
them
it because
days.
like now that I know I have ADD, I was like, oh no, Pops.
Right. Right.
so
Right. Right.
but I thank God for that, because like he would make me and him and my mom would make us all sit down. I have two brothers, sit down, and we would pass the book along and we would
Wow.
read it. Not too long, but it was just giving us that energy to read for ourselves.
Right.
And then also he would debate me. Like we would sit down and like debate. And so he would like talk to me and he will help me critical think. And I think
Right.
that's what I hope for parents will be who have that time to do. And I get it. Sometimes you don't, but
Yeah.
like, I don't think not crapping on our school system, because I know it does the best it can, but because it's ran by a lot of people who only want that prison to pipeline to fit.
Right.
And there's a lot of great teachers out there. I have several friends who are amazing teachers and they're
Yeah.
frustrated with how the system is. But I think it is up to parents to like let some control into how their children are educated as well.
See, and that's the thing is, I remember when I was younger, my parents, we would have our regular homework, but my parents would
Mm-hmm.
have homework for us to do. My parents,
Mm-hmm.
by the time I got to first grade, I was reading on the third grade level. By the time I got to third grade, I was reading on the sixth grade level. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
My parents
Yeah.
were there, and they were, my parents made us watch the news. I actually love watching the news now. Good Morning America, Late Night with Lester Hall. I just like, because you got to know what's really going on. Like, and
Yeah.
then my parents would take the news and be like, mm, maybe this might have happened 2 days ago. And
Mm.
like your people would debate, they would
Yeah.
let us debate on, hey, what do you think really happened? And I
Yeah.
didn't really realize it, like how the world is set up and how the news is set up, till
Mm.
the winter storm here in Texas happened.
Oh
And
yeah. Oh my
you guys
gosh.
didn't
Yeah.
know that we were out of power. But 2 weeks later, when the power was actually being restored, we had been out
Oh
of power. We
wow.
had been, you
Really?
know what I'm saying? Like, it was like,
Yeah.
wait, they just now telling y'all, they just now, and it's
Oh
like,
wow.
you know, you
Did
you
not know
look
that.
at it and it's like, oh well, we're gonna go to Houston, and I'm like, But there's all these other towns y'all didn't even talk about, things that were going on. You know what I'm saying? And so
Yeah.
it definitely taught me that, man, the what they're teaching in the schools or on the news, not saying it's fake, but it's not, it might not be live then and there. They're taking bits and pieces and creating what they want the world to know
Yeah.
and calling it a day. And it's sad, you know.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it is contrived because it is. I believe in the media. Don't get me wrong. I'm not like
Right.
some true hater, but I do understand like a lot of media is also about making a profit and
Right.
sensationalism. And so that's why you do have to like read for yourself. And that's one thing I feel like both our parents shared. They wanted us to be able to think for ourselves
Right.
because unfortunately, I don't feel like our country prides that in
Wow.
people. I don't know. This is very simple. I feel like they do in ways like they're not going to squash it because against that's again against the our freedom of speech. But
Mm-hmm.
when you have media that is not able to or doesn't give you the information in a timely manner, it makes you feel like, why don't you want me to know ASAP? You know, because you
Right.
want us to be
Right.
distracted by something else. What else is going on? I remember
Right.
this guy posted, he's like, whenever something goes down with Kanye, he's like, I'm reading the news. Because
Wow.
he's like, there gotta be something going on that they don't want us to know because they will
Right. Right.
sensationalize Kanye and all this other stuff. But there's like really stuff going on about like they apparently like recently I saw on the news that they accidentally gave $611 million more dollars to Ukraine or something. I was like, I
Wow.
heard about that on the news. So I'm
Right.
like,
Right.
what we've been distracted by this time, you know? So
Right.
I
Right.
feel like that's
I
what it is. We are
A lot
very
of people will get mad at
sensationalized.
me. A lot of people will get mad at me for saying that, but I felt like that's what happened with COVID. Was that everybody
Mm,
was so distracted on COVID, like nothing else was being reported, and it's like something somewhere was going on somewhere where because everybody was not saying COVID was fake. No, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that everybody was so distracted with COVID, people were getting away with A, B, C, and D because they wouldn't report nothing else, you know?
you know what? I don't disagree with that because at one point they used to tell us the death toll every day. You remember that? Like
Yeah.
death tolls now this, and then they actually stopped because I was like watching it because I'm like they're like we could lose XYZ amount of people, but they very rarely say how many people we lost now in the news ever. Like it's been over 1 million people that we lost in America, and but they don't want to say that now because
Yeah.
it's not well, it's sensational, but it's not as fear mongering. Like I believe
Yeah.
that our news does fear monger, and it does distract. And so I like you, I believe that COVID was definitely real because my mom had it twice. She
Wow.
almost died from it. I know friends whose parents and family members have died. I know people
Mhm.
who've lost several family members because of it.
Wow.
But a lot of times it just seems so, and this is all opinion, so take it as you will.
Yeah.
It just seems so, the word I'm looking for, it seems so orchestrated, I guess, and just to
Mm.
distract us from what's going on. And then the fact that they stopped telling us the death toll because it's like it doesn't matter. I'm like, it matters because that's something like our country lost 1 million people.
Wow.
That's a big deal.
That is
Like
a big
there's
deal. You're right.
places, yeah, like, and we should be talking about that, and we should honor those lives because those lives we could have been avoided if people didn't fearmonger so much about or get so like it became so politicized to wear a mask when I'm just like I just want to wear a mask because I don't want to get sick. And like,
Right.
it shouldn't be, oh, I'm a Democrat that I wear a mask. No, you should just wear a mask because you don't want your family to get sick
Right.
and you don't want to die. That should have
That
all
should have
it
been it.
been, boo
Yeah.
boo. But
But
that's
see,
what it was.
I feel like do you feel like times have changed? we've never seen nothing like COVID. It was crazy
In that
because
generation.
by the time we get our grandkids, maybe great grandkids, and they'll be like, "Man, do you remember the COVID epidemic? You know, the pandemic or whatever they'll call it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and you be like, "Man, I was here. You know, I want to be that grandpa that they're pushing me in my
Yeah.
wheelchair. Yeah, I was there, boy. You know what I'm saying? Let me tell you about it. They walk around with suits, hazmat suits on, but
Yeah, it's
the
gonna be so
times have
crazy.
changed so much that it's
Yeah.
like I feel like back when I was in elementary, I was in elementary when the Twin Tower, no, I was in middle school when the Twin
Okay.
Towers happened, you know, and they said lock the door. You just lock the door. You know, like I remember they locked down the schools and it wasn't,
Really?
oh, why? What's going on? This, that, and the third. And you just used to do it, you know?
Yeah.
Now it's why? What? Who, when, how long we gonna wear masks? I don't like this mask. Can I get this mask? Can I get a mask with sprinkles on it? Can I get a mask with diamonds on it?
Yeah.
And I just feel like the times have changed. And I was talking to my nephew. He's in
Mm-hmm.
elementary school, and he was telling me about his days at school when it was the first day of school, and
Mm-hmm.
he was saying they went over what they called a active shooter thing, and I
Yeah.
was just in awe
Yeah.
because back in my day, I don't know about you, but in my day, you just had a fire drill. You knew the school
Yep.
wasn't on fire, but you knew you had to
Right.
get out and you got to be 250 feet away. And like
Yep.
now, like these kids are like traumatized just by the drill. Like, and I'm like, so what do
Mm-hmm.
you do? You
Yeah.
know, and
It's
what do you
terrible.
take of the whole situation?
Man, because I'm like you. Because I think we're millennials. So I'm 37. You're, I think, in
33.
your early
Yeah.
30s. Okay. So I remember fire drills, tornado drills, and that's it. And I was in high school when the World Trade Towers went down. And so we actually got out of school. So they shut
Okay.
down school. We all went home. My mom worked at the government internal revenue, so she came and picked me up. So I remember that.
Yeah.
But I'm saddened that kids like that have to go through that. Like
Right.
we never thought about that. Like we
Right.
never in our wildest dreams thought about an active shooter. Because I know, because 1999, I believe, was Columbine. So I was in school then too. So
Hmm.
even then, we didn't, it was so far away and
Yeah.
it was like the first one that I remember happening. I think
Yeah.
second one actually. And so we still didn't think about it like that. We didn't do
Right.
active drills. And I feel like instead, it's a very top down solution to
Wow.
a problem. Instead of fixing the roots of the problem, it's like top down. Let's arm our teachers. Let's train our kids
Right.
like little child soldiers how to
Right.
protect themselves. But instead of like actually just getting the root like other countries, I remember like Australia, New Zealand, it happened in Australia once, one mass shooting, and they changed their whole rules over, not
Wow.
overnight, but it took a while. It ended the career of that president at that time, but he did it because he knew it was the right thing to do.
Right.
And
Right.
so with us, instead of us looking from fixing the root of the issue, because I like guns, I ain't gonna lie, I'm a Democrat, but I like shooting guns.
Yeah.
I wouldn't care if they took the guns away, but I understand that is part of our American culture. And for some people, that is their identity. But I'm like, common sense gun reform. I
Right.
feel like background checks. You shouldn't be able to get an AR-14 or whatever. I don't know those guns. You shouldn't be able to get a gun that can shoot people in seconds in a day. I don't
Okay.
think that's something that should be done. So I feel like at least common sense gun reform. I hope I ain't making any of your listeners mad because
No,
again,
I'm
I
not
like guns
tripping. Hey,
too.
listen.
But I'm just saying, like, just common sense. Like, keep your guns, but I don't think anybody should be able to get an AR-15 in 2 minutes. Like,
Wow.
why you need that? Where you finna go? Like, some
Right.
questions should be asked,
That.
considering our culture of mass shootings. We've had over 180, I think, if my math is correct, 180 in 6 months. That's almost
Wow.
one a day. Like that's not normal. That shouldn't be our normal, and that
Right.
shouldn't be, because when people see us from outside of the country, it's like that is terrifying. Like that
Right.
doesn't make sense. And if it's something that's avoidable, we should do it. Like arming a teacher, they're already tired and underpaid.
Right.
Why you need to get them gun classes? How about you get them, and then they're like, you get more money if you get, no, how about you get more money because you are teaching today's youth and
Right.
you are educating and you're putting people out there. That it's just so bass backwards, and I just don't understand it. I just don't
Yeah.
understand it.
I was
But
talking to a friend and I'm like, when you're talking about our AKs and these different things, where are you going? Like, oh well, I'm just trying to protect my family from what? Like
right,
who? Like what?
zombies.
You know what I'm saying? Like what is going on? So I definitely get
Yeah,
that, and I just think something got to change. Just something has to give, and it got to be
yeah,
soon. And I was listening to a lady. She said people aren't going to get it till it's their baby, and I'm like, that's the sad part.
yeah. I honestly wonder. Like, this is a very hot take. It's a very hot take. But you know how the death of Emmett Till, and when the mom decided to show what they did to her baby, and that actually propelled, like, people were so sickened by that
Yeah,
that they actually started making changes.
right.
I feel like, but also I feel like it's not going to change because there's been so many babies, so many children killed,
Yeah,
young babies killed, that I'm just like, do we even care? But I'm like, if people actually saw those pictures of those babies being decimated, I wonder if people will change. But I don't want to see them. But I'm just like, what does it take for y'all to snap out of your own
yeah.
individualism and
But
look at
but
it
that
as a
goes back
whole?
to the white supremacy and the mindset, because
Mm-hmm.
we can go back to Trayvon Martin,
Mm,
and you're listening. I remember I was crying
yeah,
because I can just imagine it, like for what reason. Like
no
I just
reason.
you get where I come from, and you see that,
Yes.
and if that
Mm-hmm.
doesn't change what your mindset is, like you see that,
Yeah.
like this is innocent people, and it's
Yeah.
like, oh well, I'm still doing this, and January 6th still happened, and stuff like
Man.
that. And it's like the thing that makes me
Yeah.
upset is, as a black man, you go too fast in a car, you get
Mm-hmm.
pulled over, and you pull your cell phone, and boom,
You're
you're
gone.
dead.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and there's with our children, there's an over adultification with our children, even our young girls and our young boys, where Trayvon Martin was seen as a grown man.
Wow.
Like the fact that to me, that he could be taken out like that. He was a thug. He was this. It's a over adultification, and it's a dehumanization when it comes to our people and our bodies. Like,
Right.
and I think with that, because like even it was so many. Golly, Mike
Yeah.
Brown. He was a baby.
Yeah.
He was just a young kid.
Yeah.
But they treated him like he was a grown man because he made a mistake or whatever,
Yeah.
or but he didn't really do anything. He got shot in
But
his
that's the
back. He was
part.
running away.
That's the part that makes me upset. Is the country that we live
Yeah,
in, is we're supposed to be in the country we live in, quote quote. The
yeah,
land of the free. Even if you do mess up, you pay your debt back to society. But do you really get a second chance? That's the question I ask almost
that's it.
every guest. Do you really get a second chance? Are they really forgiving you?
Do they really forgive? I don't know. I don't
Because a
know.
felon
I
can't
feel
get an
like there's a
apartment. A
yeah,
felon can't get a job. Let's be real.
yeah, yeah,
They could have really changed their whole mindset.
yeah.
17 years
And
old. mm, Go
oh,
ahead.
go ahead. Sorry.
No, no, no.
Oh,
Go
I was
ahead.
just going. Oh, I was just gonna say, because like I know we talked about that on my podcast about how, to me, our prison systems are not meant for rehabilitation. I've never been in, but I've talked to
Yeah.
people who've been in there, and it's not meant for rehabilitation. If anything, it's just used as because of the caveat in the 13th Amendment, like unless you are a criminal, you cannot be enslaved. So they use that as
Right.
a way of having cheap labor. Like I know, like I remember I worked in recruitment, and I talked to so many people, and a lot of those people were convicted felons or they just got out, and they were like, "Yeah, I made underwear." Or also, one guy said, I can make you a dress right now because I made underwear for a big corporation. I won't say it, but they make
Yeah.
underwear for a big corporation to keep the prices cheap. And so instead of our system being used as a possible way for rehabilitation of criminals or people who, I won't say criminals because that's dehumanizing as well, people who have committed crimes, because you're not your crime, you're just a person who committed it. So instead of looking at them like that, is used as a way for cheap labor. It's used as a harsh punishment. It's not used to make people better. It's just used to shuffle people away for a while, and then
Yeah. Oh wow. Y'all, we are here live, 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 and I don't know why I cut off. But listen, that talk was good. Thank you so much for coming by. Thank you so much for being with us. Thank you so much for tuning in. She's back. Miss Sana Wynd is back. She's back. I don't know what happened to her connection, but we're gonna continue this talk. We're gonna continue. We got about 5 more minutes, so we're gonna get back in
sorry
there.
about that.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. But yeah, that's really what it's about. But us
Yeah.
as the people, we have to start coming together. Just like,
Yes.
for example, now that technology is so good, I
Mhm.
can be in Texas, you could be in Georgia, and now we're talking to each other now. So,
Mhm.
guys, we got to be able to come together
There's
as
too
one.
many forms.
Do
It's too
you
many
hear me?
ways.
And
Yes, too
and
many ways to come together.
we can take over. You know, an author,
Yes.
you are author, you have your podcast, you're an advocate, you're doing big things, and it's just like I'm honored to be in your presence, and I thank you so much for taking time to
Thank
come
you.
to the 180 show and really just talk and really have a good time. Can you inspire our young people? Like we have younger and old. Inspire them, let them know. I don't know. Let them know because times is hard out here. We need some inspiration.
Okay. Okay. I've been doing inner child work, so I've been talking to my inner teenager lately. Well, what I would like to say to the young people out there is just, you have a voice, and you have a very powerful voice. Don't let people's, because I feel like even your parents may have some hurt that they don't even know that they have. Don't let that hurt deter you from speaking your truth. Even if you feel like it doesn't make sense.
Don't deter, don't give up. Remember, you are important. You are important. You are great. Don't give up. And we got her back so she can finish telling y'all don't give up, don't give in.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I'm gonna make
I
it
got you.
quick. All right, y'all, just don't give up. And also know that you do have a voice. Your truth does matter. And I feel like y'all are going to do great things because y'all are fighting against a lot of the binaries that we feel shackled to because of white supremacy and patriarchy. I'm like, keep being yourselves, keep embracing your authenticity, because it makes you feel better. It makes you feel more grounded. So just be you, don't give up, and
Wow.
love yourself, because
Love yourself. Love yourself. I don't know what happened there again, but love yourself, love yourself, love yourself. Listen, you already know we are here live on the 180 show every Thursday at 7 p.m. Thank you so much for tuning in. It is time to get your tickets. Get your tickets now for the Book Tour Network and Mixer in San Antonio, Texas, 2023. It's August the 5th at 7 p.m. Well, the Book Mixer is going to be from 12 to 3, and the gala will be from 7 p.m. Listen, we have the second annual Boss Up Extravaganza vendor and fashion show. Yours truly will be the host. I will be the host there. So y'all definitely got to come by and get your tickets November 11th, 2023. Look, I got Miss Sana Wynd in the building. Thank you so much for coming by.
No problem. The internet was hating on me, y'all, but yeah.
No, listen, we got to do part 2. Y'all already know
I'm
in a couple of
definitely
months
down.
we're doing part 2 with this, and we're going to do it live. We're going to do it big. I got some things in the making where we can plan something out. And listen, make sure y'all go get your magazines. Make sure y'all tune in. Let them know where they can tune into the podcast, where they can find you, reach you, and beep you.
All right. Well, you can get Cosigns and Tangents on all major podcast platforms, Apple, Spotify.
Y'all heard it here first. Make sure y'all go over to Spotify. Make sure y'all go over to Apple Podcasts. Make sure y'all doing your due diligence. Listen, you can become a sponsor of the 180 Show. All you gotta do is hit me up. Hit that button. Let me know you want to be a sponsor of the 180 Show. We can give you a shout out. Big shout out to Spiritual Heart Child Care Center, D West Coaching, Gloria Cooks, Dr. Cynthia J. Hickman. Shout out. We're not gonna say goodbye, but we will say see you later. From the 180 Show and everybody around. Miss Sana Wynd, thank you so much for coming by.
You're very welcome. Thank you so much for having me. Y'all have a great one.
Yes, ma'am. All right, y'all. Until next time, be great, be loving, be calm. You already know what time it is. It's time to get on up out of here.
See, when you invest in something and you hustle and you work for something, you got a different type of attachment to it. You're going to have a cold day of hell for somebody trying to take this from you. We live by this, we die by this. We don't surrender, we don't retreat. Every man must search his own soul. I listen to that quote every morning.
Mr. 180's in the building. Let's go. We go live in 3, 2,